All right! Who ordered up an extra large can of whoop-ass?
What's up, nerds? David Blaine, Penn and Teller, David Copperfield, Apollo Robbins, Houdini. Do you know what all of these magicians have in common? Their magic is weak in comparison to Millhouse Manastorm. This gnome doesn't give a A former POW, Milhouse was released from Tempest Keep, after which he joined the Twilight's Hammer, seduced by power. They joined Deathwing to destroy the world of Azeroth. Milhouse, what the hell? While unsuccessful, his story does not end there. He pops up a few times throughout WoW after this, but also makes an appearance in Hearthstone, as a legendary card in Standard, but also as a hero in the Battlegrounds. Milhouse's hero power is Manastorm, a passive hero power which makes minions cost 2 gold, refreshes cost 2 gold, and Tavern Tiers cost 1 more gold. Now, when Milhouse was first introduced, man, he sucked, so a buff was indeed needed. But our boys over at Blizzard went a bit too far. They made him Eudora level overpowered, and he ran rampant in the Battlegrounds for a period of time, leading to an uptick in the amount of curse words screamed per capita and amount of broken keyboards per household. But he was eventually nerfed to his current state. He's now a mid-tier hero. His average placement stats are below his wife, Maleficent, but are still sitting at a respectable 4.46. So how do you best play him? Well, first you have to be gold efficient. You really don't want to be floating gold with this character. Pick up buff cards, pick up pairs. You have the ability to buy more minions than any other hero in the lobby, so make sure you're doing that. Mediocre buff minions become a lot stronger with Milhouse since the investment into them is much lower due to his hero power. And save for pairs. Pick up pairs and hunt for triples. Look for those turns where you can level and grab the triple to give you a big power spike. So with the most recent patch that introduced Mr. Bigglesworth, there was another change that was actually a sneaky little buff to Milhouse. The replacement of Zubat Menagerie Magician with Menagerie Mug and Jug. This allows for a lot more flexibility in Menagerie builds. Zubat and Menagerie Magician hamstring you into Beast Dragons and Murlocs, but now with the Mug and Jug, those buffs can hit any 3 minions of a different minion type. And since you want to be grabbing buff cards with Milhouse, having that extra flexibility makes a huge difference for this hero. It can now allow you to pursue Menagerie builds that weren't possible before. Pre-Mr. Bigglesworth patch, it seemed like with Milhouse you either went Dragons or a Menagerie build with a Hydra, Bronze Warden, and possibly a Murloc, but now you can buff any strong minion on your board. Deflecto, Highmane, Gold Grubber, Mal'Ganis, whatever. This change makes Milhouse, and more importantly, Millie, happy.
Hello?
So does this mean that Menagerie is now the strongest build for Milhouse? No, you damn idiot. The Menagerie changes will help him more than other heroes, but there's still a build that Milhouse seems to be tailor-made for. Why would you even ask that? What a dumb question.
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine, but
So what is the strongest build for Milhouse? Dragons, of course. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but first let's talk a little Milhouse strategy. Again, above all else, remember that when you play Milhouse, always be gold efficient. But first, let's touch on early game. Milhouse is really strong early game, but then tends to fall off as the game goes on, and he's forced to roll more on his buy phases. So turn 1, token is huge for our gnome boy. Tokens are essentially free minions since you can sell both the minion and the token that spawned from the battle cry to recoup your initial 2 gold investment into the minion. But more importantly, a turn 1 token means that on turn 2, you can sell the token and level. Keep in mind, Milhouse's Tavern Tiers cost 1 additional gold to level up, so the cost on turn 2 is 5 gold. So here you'll have to sell 1 minion to be able to level the Tavern 2. Then on turn 3, you can sell off your minion and pick up 3 units from Bob's shop. You have the ability to pick up 3 potentially strong minions, while the other players in the lobby can only pick up 2. This is the ideal start for Milhouse. But what happens if you don't get a token on turn 1? Well, buy the strongest minion. But there is one little trick that you can do. You may have noticed on turn 1 there was a pair of the Dragon Spawn Lieutenants. There is no token, so I won't be leveling on turn 2. Instead, next turn I'll stay on 1 and buy 2 more minions. But I do want to freeze the board and grab the pair, so I buy the Wrathweaver and immediately just sell it back to Bob's shop and then pick up the dragon. This way it frees up that spot in the shop to give me a chance at a better minion to buy in the next buy phase. So with the no token start, you buy the strongest minion on turn 1, buy 2 more minions on turn 2, and then on turn 3 I typically just level. You are floating 1 gold here though, unless you're picking up a token. Sometimes you'll find a triple, be able to level, sell off one of your minions and pick up the triple, but a lot of the times you're just floating that 1 gold. That's okay. So now we are at 6 gold. Buy the 3 strongest minions. Simple as that. And then on 7 gold, you'll want to level. Sometimes that again means floating a gold if you didn't level on turn 2, but most of the times you'll be able to level, sell off a weak tier 1 minion to pick up a stronger tier 2 minion. And from here, it really depends on what's happening. If you have a strong board state, just level. It'll cost 8 gold, which is the amount that you have. You may lose the next fight, but with Milhouse, you need to play aggressive. But pay attention to who your opponent is. If you're playing against a strong opponent, you might want to stay and buy some minions, but if it's against a weaker one, go ahead and level. Use your best judgment here. So you'll notice I buy the Piloted Shredder, but then just hold it in my hand. I have 2 pairs on board, and to be able to play it, I probably have to sell the cannon here and float 1 gold. So what's the theme with Milhouse? Gold efficiency. I opt to just hold it in my hand, hope I win the next fight since it's against a weak opponent, and then next turn I'll have the ability to utilize this extra gold economy that's sitting in my hand. Unfortunately, we lose that fight, but the shop here is pretty solid. Typically with Milhouse, I'll try and force dragons, but at this point, I'm just mechs. Deflecto, a reset, shredder in my hand, plus a pair of screwjanks on my board. So I pass on the Bronze Warden and just grab the Metal Tooth Leapers and roll into an Annoyo module. Annoyo module, if you don't know, is a really strong card, especially if you have any sort of mech or divine shield comp going. So I grab that and now look at my board state, completely transformed from what we had last turn. I do float a gold here, but I want to be as strong as possible to avoid taking any damage in this fight. And being a pair gamer pays off. Perfect gold efficiency to level and buy the triple. And Kalecgos it is. Definitely don't want the Nadina, and Zap is more of a tech card than a super powerful tier 6 minion. Then we freeze for the Dragon Enforcer and away we go. From here we'll look to pick up strong dragons and battlecry cards. So we mentioned earlier that dragons are the best build for Milhouse. With Kalecgos you want to buy any battlecry minion you see, and that pairs perfectly with his hero power. Milhouse has the ability to pick up 2, sometimes 3, or maybe even 4 additional minions each buy phase that other heroes can't. And that gives you a huge amount of additional scaling. Forget Ysera, forget Alexstrasza, Milhouse is the best hero for dragons. Be careful though, if you force dragons when they aren't there, you will be punished. Milhouse is tricky to play. One theme that I've mentioned throughout this video is gold efficiency, but another one with Milhouse is to take what Bob gives you. You don't want to be rolling on him. If you find yourself looking for that one piece to your missing build puzzle and having to roll to find it, you're gonna have a frustrating game. You essentially get half the amount of rolls in comparison to the rest of the lobby, and you want to be what with Milhouse class? Gold efficient, very good. So spending your buy phase rolling to look for 1 or 2 specific minions is not what you want to be doing with Milhouse, which is why Menagerie is actually the build I find myself going most often. Bran is Milhouse's best friend in most games, which is why I suggest picking up pairs. You want to hit those turns where you can level, triple, and discover a minion from a higher tavern tier. And really you want to do this on Tavern 4 to try and discover a Bran, or in the case of this game, level to Tavern 5, grab the triple, and discover the Kalecgos. I often find that games when I have a strong start, but I'm unable to find one of those 2, I fizzle out and end up taking a 4th or 5th place finish, or if I get lucky, sneak into the top 3. So this is really my game to lose now. Kalecgos, 2 Bronze Wardens, and a soon-to-be Golden Razor Gore. We lose to the cat, but Meow we can grab the triple and look for an Adina. Or another Kaligos, can't complain about that. And this was pre-nerf Eudora. Even with a giant gold grubber, we take her down. Then on to buying more Battlecry minions and one non-Battlecry minion. Oops. Sometimes you just put on cruise control when you're this far ahead and stop paying attention. And easy final fight. So keep our Millhouse themes in mind next time you play him. Be gold efficient, and yes, dragons are the optimal build for Millhouse, but take what Bob gives you. Don't try and roll to hunt for 1 and 2 specific cards. Grab buff minions, grab pairs, and look for those turns to triple on Tavern 4 to grab a Bran, or triple on Tavern 5 to grab a Kaligos. But also don't feel like you always need to go for one of those 2 cards. It's okay to play for top 4. Pick up some decent carry units like Deflecto, Bronze Warden, Gold Grubber, or Battle Masters, and look to buff those up. Dragons are king for Millhouse, but Menagerie is often the smart play. Manage your gold, buy minions, be aggressive, and dominate your lobby. Godspeed, nerds.